hopefully this works. Okay. Shaking hands. Okay. Hi everyone. Where's the camera today? Okay, so Josh is the camera today.
Oh yeah.
Hi everyone and welcome. As we like to start these off, if you want to put where you're watching from, we'll do little shout outs as we kind of show what has been new this past week and what we'll be doing today. Today's going to be a pretty typical live stream though. We're just going to be drawing and chatting with you guys. I'm going to be continuing to work on my Ace of Pentacles. Instead of doing the bottom half of the card today, I'm going to fully render the top half. And even where it's at right now, some of you might be thinking it looks pretty good where it's at, but pretty good isn't good enough. So we're going to take this to the next level and kind of elevate it into the final polish. So if some of you are curious on how to take it from this to the next stage, that's kind of what I'll be doing today. And we'll be answering any questions you guys might have about art, the business of art, conversations outside of art, whatever it is, we're here for you guys. And yeah, that's kind of why we do these live streams to begin with anyways. So, what was new with us primarily? Oh, I guess I can show. I finished my fish. I've been drawing a lot of fish lately, and I won't say exactly why yet, but I'll reveal probably sometime middle of next week. As they were definitely fun to draw, but each one took me roughly 3 hours, just because I really want nice clean shading, and the size of them had to be different, and yeah, it might be a little confusing why I drew just a bunch of fish on 3 separate pieces of paper. But I promise it'll make more sense come next week. So I'll put those aside here.
Yeah, there is an echo.
There's an echo? Oh, you know why?
Oh, is it picking up the phone?
Oh my gosh, I even turned it off
Thank you,
beforehand.
Fem.
Oh, that was so bad. This is why I think eventually I'm gonna slowly... Wait, is it still going?
I don't think we got there yet on the stream.
Hold on. We just want to make sure. Oh wait, I can check.
Oh yeah, it's fixed.
Alright, we're good. I think that's why eventually though I've been thinking about it where I might stop doing these weekly Wednesday live streams and do more pre-recorded content on Wednesdays and then kind of push them out. Just because it has more of a, one, professional appeal, but two, I think I can edit it a little bit nicer so there's never any of these technical issues, and maybe we'll do like once a month where we do like longer live streams. That way we can still stay in touch with you guys and have kind of a fun chat. Like if it was like the first Wednesday of every month or something. But just something I've been thinking about, and oh good, Echo's gone.
Echo is gone.
Gosh, there's always some technological issue every stream. You would think by how many times I've streamed over the years. Okay. Oh hey Fem.
Fem's here. Mysterious Wolf.
There's a lot of people I haven't seen here before.
Hix Ying, hello. Mabel, hello. Carmen, hello. Janisha Colors, hello. I know, I feel like I'm not in a stream for a bit, but it's only been like 3 weeks since I've done the last one.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Probably.
Yeah.
I will say, so here's where my next Within Youth piece is currently. So he's going to be incorporated with the fish. That's all I'll say for right now because I don't know exactly how I'm going to pull it off. But just something I wanted to preview. And we also went to Ren Fair this past weekend, and it was wonderful. Got a lot of books, and I guess maybe I'll post them more into the Discord after the stream. We got a lot of fun books that explain things like the history of magic, and I skimmed through this already, and it's really interesting seeing how every culture in the world over time has had some form of superstition that it comes across in either magic or religion, and I just found that really fascinating. Oh yeah, also I got 2 new tarot decks since the last time. These 2 are ones that we found at Crystal and Witch stores. Actually no, these were both at witchy kind of stores. So these were really fun finds. I like older looking tarot decks, I find. a lot of the modern ones I don't think have the same appeal to me as the old ones. I think because there's more of like a graphic nature and more of a purpose behind the placement of a lot of the symbols in the old style cards. So these two are pretty fun. I definitely really like the Aquarian if you're more into the kind of Mucha Art Deco, Art Nouveau style. And then this one, they really didn't put the best cards on the cover, in my opinion. But this one definitely has like an old school style, like fantasy flair to it, which I think is really fun. What's interesting though is even at the Ren Fair, the tarot decks that they had, like there is one that maybe I'll get, because we're going back on Sunday, maybe I'll get that one.
There weren't that many good ones.
There weren't that many good ones.
Yeah.
Which was surprising. And then these two books, this is going to be like a little book review first. So they look a little cringy on the cover with the photo. I don't think this one is much, but the reason I like these so much is because, here, let me move this up. These books go through the history of mermaids and culture and fashion and storybooks and their origins and the symbols behind them. And they're just gorgeous books. I think they just picked really good art for the kind of showcasing of mermaids through the ages. Like, I love these type of pieces. And then the fairy one, I would say, even did a better job at kind of finding fantastical fairy stuff over the years. And there's still like modern, things of what it means to have like a fairy party, tea party, all that stuff. But if you go more into the first half, it's definitely more fantastical, full of illustrations and where the folklore of fairies came from. And, I haven't read these cover to cover yet, but in my skimming of them, I just really enjoy the pages. So these are two that were like insta buys for me.
I kind of forgot you got these two.
Oh, they're so good.
I love the next one.
So the next one is a wizard's cookbook, and this one's kind of fun because they have recipes that are inspired by like different fantasy movies and shows, and Josh is going to try making a couple. He's actually going to be probably making the pumpkin juice on Saturday.
I want to make the butterbeer, but we'll figure it out.
Vote still pumpkin juice. Maybe I'll make pumpkin juice separately then.
They have a lembas. Actually, the lembas bread's vegan that they have in there, surprisingly. It's not a fully vegan cookbook, but they do have lembas bread from what they're doing, so I'm kind of...
It would probably be pretty easy to
excited to try that
veganize
out.
any of them. And then lastly, I got this wild tea book, which explains how to grow your own tea, dry it, and then brew it. And it's kind of fun because I've always wondered, like, how do you take rose petals and then dry them and then turn it into tea? So this is something I'll probably experiment with way more next spring and summer. But it definitely is giving me a good kind of push to fully commit to try to make my own tea, because that's something I've always kind of wanted to do the past few years.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Well, hello everyone. And as we always say, if you have any comments or questions during the stream, just put @Vonart or @Schwa, and that way we can see it in between the drawing and the comment section, and we'll do our best to answer.
Oh, Dria's here. Hi, Dria.
Oh, hey, Dria. Okay. You ready?
I mean, you're the one that's drawing. I'm ready.
Okay, so since I'm kind of... Here, I'll zoom back in. I'm kind of continuing off where the last live stream of the Ace of Pentacles was, and I'm going to be now working with an HB pencil, and I'm going to be really darkening a lot of the values, and then eventually we'll be getting into the Orenz 0.2 mechanical pencil, and this can give us a really nice point and sharp edge to a lot of the areas here. So we're just going to kind of go ahead and do that. And I think one of the... Actually, I'm going to take off my glasses for this. One thing, as I'm kind of rendering out, is I thought, Josh, you could tell the story of when you went to go get your new pipe at Ren Fair and what happened.
Oh, with Kelly?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So I used to smoke cigarettes a lot. That's done. But I've always loved pipes. Like I always think of Gandalf, like with pipes. I always really wanted a pipe. So we're at Ren Fair. They have a pipe shop there, and I actually found a really cool pipe. I guess I can grab it quick.
Yeah.
I like the pipe. Be right back. Show and tell.
Yeah, so I'm not a fan of cigarette smoking at all, and I think that kind of pushed Josh to quit forever. But I actually don't mind cigars as much, and I really enjoy it. It's like kind of a guilty pleasure, but I love the smell of cigar smoke. I think it just has a really nice aroma to it.
I mean, these aren't foolproof, and we don't encourage smoking in
No.
any way. But anyways, here's the pipe I got. This one was long bottom. Just kind of like a Hobbit style pipe, which I love. Anyways, so got this pipe. We were at the shop, and then there's this lady. They actually have a little lounge there. And there's this little lady sitting there, and she was like, really, I don't know, she kept talking to Tim and I while we were in there. It was really cute. But she was like, oh, you guys should come smoke with me, and we can just chit-chat. At the time, I think we had plans to go to another area at the park, so we were like, oh yeah, maybe we'll be back later to talk with you. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
some warning
Sorry.
for that. So it was really cute because later then I wanted to get a cleaning kit from the place because after I got this, I was like, you know what, I really should have bought this cleaning kit they sold along with them. So I ended up going back later in the day to get it, and she was there again. So it was really cute because Tim and I, we sat down and I was like, oh, can you teach me how to use it? Because I've never used a pipe before. You don't actually inhale, you keep it in your mouth, so it's kind of like a cigar. And it was really cute because we actually got to sit down with her. Her name was Kelly. And apparently she's been going to the Ren Fair for, God, what did she say, like
35 years?
35? Yeah, 35 years she's been going to the Ren Fair here in Wisconsin. And it was just cute because she talked about how her dad used to smoke pipes, and it's been really fun for her now to be doing it. So we got like a little bit of a rundown of why she smokes pipes, how to smoke pipes. She taught me how to do it. And it was really cute because she shared some stories with us. Apparently there was a really drunk person at the place earlier that day that got a little violent and then ended up getting arrested. So she told us like some interesting stories from her years at Ren Fairs. So yeah, it was just really cool. We got to meet this person. And like I'm hoping we're going back on Sunday, although I think she said she only goes Saturdays usually.
Yeah.
So we might not see her this time. But we're gonna go 2 more times technically this year still. So we're hoping maybe we'll see her 1 more time before the year ends. Because she was really sweet. And it was just fun to meet strangers like that again. I know, I feel like after a year of us all being locked up, it's just fun to like talk with strangers and hear their stories. Especially older people tend to have like some really interesting stories that they've had throughout their life. So yeah, she was really sweet.
Well, I think Kelly was really interesting because usually with an older person that clearly has a lot of like character and story to tell, I just asked like, what's the most crazy, thing that you've seen while being here? And her answer this time was today. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, there was this drunk person and he was getting just really pushy about certain things, and he kept like slapping the chair, and he was kind of egging on this other person that was in the smoke lounge, and he was just kind of being rude, but people were kind of playing it off. They weren't treating him too seriously, or they weren't making a big scene out of it. But at one point, instead of slapping, he like slapped his cell phone. Oh.
Sorry, no, someone said there's a crackle. Is it my chair, you think?
Probably your chair. Yeah, whenever Josh shifts in the chair, you'll hear a creak, crack.
Is that...
It's fine, just stay perfectly still the rest of the stream.
Apparently it's hurting their ears. I don't want to hurt your guys' ears. I literally, if I shift my butt like a little bit, it crackles. I don't know if it's the chair or if it's something else, though. It says...
I guess you can turn the fan off.
Oh, hear that? No, it's not the chair. It sounds a weird crackle.
Yeah, I turned this down a little bit. So maybe that will help. Well, we'll see. Let us know if that helped a little bit.
It's like mic static.
There's a fireplace sound.
Yeah, I heard it.
Man, guys, I
Maybe
swear,
if you turned it
I
down.
really should not be streaming anymore. I feel like the problems are just getting worse and worse over the years.
I mean, Fem earlier said it is part of the Tim charm. Maybe turning it down will help a little bit. Maybe it was just clipping.
Yeah. don't even know what it could possibly be.
All right, let us know if it gets worse or better, but I think maybe turning it down. So it's not the chair, at least.
But anyways, going back to the story. So this drunk guy, he slapped his phone on a cushion of the chair, and like the phone like bounced and it didn't break, but it hit the ground. But he was still so ornery that then they gave him his phone back. But then instead of slapping his phone, he grabbed one of the glass ashtrays and then grabbed it and slammed it, and literally it shattered. And like Kelly, this older woman, was sitting right in front of where he slammed it on this counter, and thankfully she didn't get hit by the glass, but some like passerby that was in the shop got like hit her leg, some of the chunks of glass, and she started bleeding.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then as she's telling us the story about this girl that got hit, literally like a minute later, while she's in the middle of the story still, the girl that actually got hit by the glass came back into the shop. I don't know why she wanted to come back in there, but she had to get some more stuff. But it was cute because then we actually got to see the girl that she's telling the story about that got hit with the glass. And apparently the guy did get arrested, so...
Well, they took him to like the Renaissance Fair security area.
No, I think they said she got... Because the girl came in too, and she was like, yeah, they actually arrested him.
No, I guarantee they did not get arrested.
That was disorderly, so technically I think you'd get arrested
No.
for that. He needed a vibe check, though, because you're at Ren Fair. This isn't a place to be.
He did need a vibe check card. So that was interesting. Like, of all the stories that she encountered being there for 35 years, like, the day that we're talking with her is the day that is the most crazy. Well, thank you, Angelina, for subscribing.
Sorry, guys, about the static. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm probably the least technologically savvy, so the fact that I'm trying to run live streams is probably to my detriment.
Well, I forget, because you are using the new computer, too, now this time, so it could be something, so we have to get set up better. Felix says maybe the sound isn't going through the sound card or a janky cable. Hi, everyone, by the way.
Oh, hello, Felix. Hello.
Felix, I don't know.
I never know when things are wrong. I mean, this is part of why I buy Apple products, because usually it kind of takes care of things for technologically ignorant people like myself.
Ignorant.
I am. I'm probably the most technologically ignorant person that tries to live stream that there could be.
Drea, that poor girl I used to bartend, that would have gone on for one morning before I would have gotten a bouncer to kick his butt out. Yeah, it was just the weirdest place for someone to be like that. Like, he's at a pipe shop, and usually, like, people that are smoking pipes are just chill, they're just relaxing. I don't know. Poor Kelly, though, too, having to, like, awkwardly sit in front of this person doing that. That's one of those situations where I feel like I just sit there like, I'm not going to move. I don't want this person to even see me.
Yeah, right. Just freeze.
Yeah. This chair, though.
So as you can see, the pencil is creating a much darker value, but I'm still being very smooth with how I'm rendering it out. Because I don't want it to be too like sloppily applied. So wherever the line feels kind of dark, I want there to be more of a smooth gradient from the line into the kind of the center of each little cloud swirl. And I'm going to be very cautious as I do that kind of everywhere today on the rendering.
I like those swirly clouds a lot.
Yeah, they're fun.
Trying to think of anything else I read for that happened. When Tim and I just go together, we tend to just wander the entire time. We don't really have like any plans. I think a lot of people do that though. We kind of just do circles around the place, and then it feels like you're in a video game because usually things just randomly pop up, and then you kind of just go on. Like we got these potato chip things, and then all of a sudden there was a sword-eating guy. That was a show that was happening right next to the potato place, so we ended up just sitting there and watching that.
Sword-eating, sword-swallowing.
Same thing, I guess.
No.
Okay, sword-swallowing guy was there. I mean, that was interesting.
Well, what's interesting about like performers at Ren Fair, and no offense to Ren Fair performers or just like live performance people, I always feel like they make you feel bad if you don't tip. And this guy particularly was like, gave like a 3 to 5 minute speech at the end, basically making people feel bad if they don't tip him at the end, and then stood at the back of the entrance area, and he was like, I want to look at you as you pass me if you don't give me.
Oh yeah, he was definitely it.
I honestly will avoid going to see live performances at Ren Fair so that I don't have to awkwardly avoid that. I mean, I normally do tip, but I don't like when I feel forced to, because then it feels inauthentic. It's like, well, now you just create a situation where I feel forced to, and I'm not a big fan of forceful people in general.
Most of them aren't that bad, though. That was definitely more in your face about it. Because most of the time they're like, hey, I'll have a tip jar in the back, feel free. It's always kind of just a casual, like, hey, the option
I just feel like over the years, it's just gotten a little more aggressive. You don't think so?
I mean, probably with COVID and stuff, too. I mean, they had an entire year of not being able to perform. So there could be a little desperation with that, which makes sense.
Which is fair, I guess.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be too harsh.
But no, I mean, he was definitely uncomfortable about it.
Oh yeah, his humor was very self-derogatory, or not derogatory, deprecating.
Yeah.
And he would always say things that would be like, you guys have horrible minds, or like, shut up. Or just like, and I'm like, I don't understand this. And I've been reading this book called Influence, and it's all about like obedience and kind of manipulation, and how to be aware of when someone is trying to trick you into doing something for them. And he did this whole act where he was like all kind of self-depreciating and kind of would blame the audience for things. And then at the very end, he gave like this big speech about how he's very thankful for us, and how you should live your dreams, and just very like Hallmark cardy, feel good nonsense. And then he went into the thing about giving him money. So I'm like, you only said the feel good things so that we would be buttered up to give more money. I'm personally not a fan of that, and especially now that I'm almost done reading this book, I like see the world a little differently on how advertisements, marketing, salespeople, just anytime someone's trying to get you to do something for them, it feels very fake now to me, and I'm very aware of how to say no. And that's the one thing I really like about the book too, is it really goes into how to say no to a lot of these things.
Oh yeah. Fem says, what do you have for dinner? A piece of sword with a side of fries. I mean, his humor was interesting and his tipping thing was awkward, but his sword eating was impressive.
Sword swallowing.
Felix says the whole tipping thing is confusing in the U.S. If the performers are there for the fair, can't they be paid through admission fees?
That's what I think too.
That's what I don't know. Like maybe they don't.
No, they definitely do. There's no way they're relying on tips. I think that's illegal actually in America.
I would think so. I would hope so.
That is illegal actually.
Oh,
now
okay.
I'm thinking about it.
So you think the fair reaches out to them to perform?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, they're still getting a fair wage. That's why the tip thing always feels so weird. And like you pay, pretty good money to get into the fair. And like the food is always kind of a little pricey. Like everything's a little pricey.
Yeah.
So then on top of that, having to tip a performance that is meant to be free feels kind of gross. But if it's a really good show, I have no problem like tipping, a $5 bill. But then he even made a mention. He's like, I think my show's worth $10. He's like, don't bother with like 1 and 5. He's like, I think my show's worth $10. And I'm like, sir, get out of here. You're so uncomfortable. Yeah, not a fan of him.
That was definitely interesting because usually they're not that forward about it.
But the other performances that I've seen have been wonderful. And like we went and we kind of sat at a maypole dance routine for a little while.
Oh, I think that was, honestly, I wish we stayed there longer.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
We stayed for quite a while because I didn't even realize there were like different dances that can be performed at the maypole, and different interchanging, interlocking kind of dances that happen. So that was really fun to watch.
I kind of want a maypole in our backyard. We'll see though.
I would honestly be totally okay with that.
The thing is, if we tangle that thing up...
Well, you would need more people to untangle it.
I guess, yeah.
Because, you and I wouldn't just be, like, in the backyard maypoling it up. That'd be weird.
I guess.
The whole point of Maple is to like have community involvement for like puzzle locking.
Felix says, in Germany, we basically only tip in restaurant, like 15%. And actually, Lena says, in Finland, anyone really only tips for really good service and only in restaurants. I mean, there are street performers who get money from tips aside from that. It's usually about the same here, too. Because usually we tip at restaurants and, like, food delivery. But that would be the extent of normally what I tip at.
You know what's funny, though, is I feel like everyone's kind of catching the tipping bug. Because even when we got our new Square reader for cons, there's like a tip feature built in. And at this last show, we were like, okay, let's try this out and like see if people actually react to it. And yeah, a certain amount of people will donate like 1%, 3%, 5%. And
it's not even like in your face because it's the one on the Square reader is kind of like off to the side from where you're doing everything, but people still click it. But
so
it doesn't. I don't know.
People have very weird associations with tipping, I think. I don't know if we'll continue doing that, to be honest. Like, I don't mind if it's on the top of the home screen for some of the payments, but sometimes it's like, would you like to tip? And that's the only thing it says on the screen. I'm like, ugh.
Oh, yeah.
And I hate that. Because I don't want to force someone, especially because we're holding the Square reader. So I'm like, ugh. I don't want to be that person that puts someone in an awkward position.
Oh, yeah. No, one time I awkwardly was like looking at it while I was doing it with someone. I learned now I look away while they're doing that whole part, so then there's not this like...
I think we're going to take it off.
Yeah.
It's like not worth the extra $20, $25 that we made from tipping at the last show.
Yeah, it just felt weird.
The awkwardness felt alone. For me, I would pay $25 not to feel.
Yeah. When you're like making eye contact with them as they're like clicking no tip, and you're like, oh no, please, I don't care, click it. Elena says I would have walked off when he started saying I'm worth $10. Yeah, it was definitely interesting. Well, the thing is too, he would call people out if they got up and left his show, so you did kind of feel stuck there.
You totally felt stuck.
Yeah,
we weren't gonna move. He like called out this one couple. And they were just standing up to like stretch. They were still gonna watch the show, and he like called them out mid-performance. I'm like, ugh, this is so uncomfortable.
I mean, what he was doing was still impressive, but I think the talking around it was sometimes a little uncomfortable.
It's sad when this could get into a deep conversation, but I'll keep it more face value. But like, it's sad when a performer is really good at what they do, but because of their personality and how they perform it, like outside of the actual act, is so bad that it actually kind of taints the actual performance.
Oh yeah.
Like there's some people like the Fire Whip guy, his personality is so fun and exciting that I think it adds to then the overall performance of the Fire Whip stuff.
Oh yeah, he doesn't, I don't think he does he just says like, hey,
I have a hat.
Yeah, I have a hat.
If you want to tip me, yeah.
Or what's the one guy that does this one little show?
Mooney,
yeah. Mooney's show. Mooney's like this cool acrobatic guy. But he's not, yeah, most of performers aren't like that. Oops, oh my god.
Just stop moving things back.
I'm so fidgety, I can't help it.
You need one of those fidget cubes.
Oh my gosh, I'm just sitting here in stream with the fidget cubes. Fem says with the whole COVID situation, almost no one even carries money around here anymore, so tipping rarely happens these days.
Oh.
It was mostly just like a couple euros rounding off the bill in restaurants previously, but it was never necessary.
Well, that's interesting.
I mean, now they're doing cons again. I actually have cash with me again.
Oh, I miss cash so much.
Without cons, I normally don't have cash either. I just use my card for everything.
I think cash is a good way for you to be better at saving money and like seeing how you spend money, because I think a rectangle piece of plastic doesn't really incite you to know how much money you're really spending or how much money you have left. But I think if you open your wallet and you see the physical money, I think that helps. So I'm someone who I prefer paying with cash for everything.
Tim has a habit of just from after cons, usually there's like, a little bit of like a little thick pile of cash sometimes. And there'll be little piles.
Yeah, I like to then put the money aside for savings, for different things, and depending on how well you do at a show, I mean, money, you can hide some of it. I'm not recommending it. I'm not saying I do it, but I can definitely say you can do it. You can do it, sorry, if you're willing to take the risk. But it's nice because then, like, we had this kid cut down a tree in our backyard, and we were able to pay him in cash, and then he was able to keep it all, and he doesn't have to report it then. I guess I shouldn't even be saying this on a live stream, so I'll say we may have paid him in all cash so that he didn't have to report any of it. And I think, people like getting that little extra money without having to then take taxes out. Yeah, this is definitely not advice I should be giving on a stream. But, wink, wink, sigh, sigh.
Elena says, I despise having to give a customer a card reader that asks them if they want a tip. It's so awkward. And
so
also
awkward.
says, I would have hoped that I would still walk out, but being called out means I probably wouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You were kind of like just stuck.
Which thankfully the performance itself was actually entertaining enough where I'm like, yeah, I'll stay for it, but I feel very uncomfortable. Besides that, though, it was great.
Drea, in America, we can't even get minimum wage to increase. Trying to change this tip thing wouldn't be impossible. Yeah, I just think tipping for a lot of different things. Because even for us, I think we are going to turn. We tried it for the first time coming back because we were like, oh, maybe this will work out. But yeah, I think the awkwardness of it overpowers the little bit of extra money you might make from it.
Yeah, not worth.
Yeah. Fem says, yep, agree on the physical money. You could also just go shopping with the amount of money you calculated before, and when it was gone. But now you can easily go over budget.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think physically, yeah, seeing how much you're giving over does help. Like when you start handing out like 320s, you start seeing like, oh, this is actually a lot. Where I could spend 60 with a card and not even think twice about it sometimes.
I mean, I've gotten kind of into the habit of paying with a credit card only if I can pay it off right away. And like 2020 really threw me for a loop because I consider myself pretty good with money and like saving it and
really good with money.
So like 2020 was just really weird and like not having that set amount of income, not having con income, and then having this huge house bill looming over the head. It kind of like forced me into this uncomfortable way of looking at money where I was like scared of it for the first time in like a long time.
I'm sorry. I want to like scooch it slightly. I don't know what it's...
Oh, schwa.
All right, there we go. Perfect.
But yeah. Okay, I'm going to go a little darker here on some.
Actually, we're talking about money while you're working in a pentacle.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, pentacles usually represent, well, what I've come to learn and I really like the rhyme is health or wealth. So however you interpret like the physicality of like wealth or health, that's usually how the reading of pentacles will go in a spread. Now, I see pentacles more as because the way that I see pentacles and money and wealth is very much associated with money, in the very obvious symbol of the coin. I'm a very like literal person when it comes to visuals sometimes, and when I see pentacles come up in a reading for myself, I very much think, okay, it's my financial situation. But for other people, it might mean like their health, like their literal physical health, and then for other people, it might mean something with that like alludes to the earthly matter. So something that's like tangible, physical, and it could be maybe like building a cabin or something. And the Ace of Pentacles is a very good card. So if you get this in a reading, that's usually a very positive card. All the aces are the most powerful in their minor arcana groups. So this would be like the best of the pentacles. Besides, usually they're like within all the four minors, the wands, pentacles, cups, and swords. There's usually one or two really good ones, like the Ten of Cups comes to mind. That one's like a very, very positive card as well. So yeah.
Pentacles.
Pentacles.
Oh, we did your reading. Yeah, I did Tim's reading. What was it? Saturday?
Friday.
Was it Sunday? That was Friday?
It was the day Kat was tripping.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I can't remember if that was Friday or Saturday.
Friday.
Okay. But anyways, did Tim's reading? Yours was interesting at first, because the first card that Tim got kind of threw us off for a moment. But then we kind of got back on track. And then, yeah, yours was actually really good.
I mean, really good is interesting. I would say it was very reflective on how I've kind of had to say goodbye to like my mid-20s self in a way, or like the ambitions that I once held on to so strongly.
I thought I had the picture on my phone, but I didn't.
I really wanted to be like one of the best artists of the modern age, and like I had all these super ambitions that have kind of quieted now that I have some other priorities in my life that I pay focus to, and like I willingly do, and like I live a very good life. I'm a very happy person, but there will always be that part of me that might feel a little disappointed knowing that my 20-year-old self would have like looked at the situation and be like, wait, you mean you're not trying as hard anymore for the art world? And then it's like me explaining to my 25-year-old self that like, oh, there's other things that mean more in life than just business and making a name for yourself and your passion. But I don't think my 25-year-old self would have understood it. I don't think he would have grasped the idea that there might be something more important that I would value. So I think it was just a lot of the tarot spread like was making peace with that, because especially recently I felt very down on myself for my art stuff. Not to the point where I'm like, oh, like woe is me, like oh pity, blah blah blah. But enough where I'm like, I could be doing better. I could be doing more. I could be waking up earlier. And I don't like to be lazy. I think whenever I associate the word lazy with myself, I feel horrible as a person. And I think one of the things that really helped, and I wasn't really even doing it that much, but a lot of our friends and a lot of people we know, like they get high a lot. And I mean, I wasn't even doing it that much. I was doing like maybe 2 to 5 times a month for the past like a year. But I would only do it socially or when I knew I was going to be going to bed or, kind of signing off for the night. But I know this isn't proven, and I know that this might be like my own personal view of it, but I always felt more lethargic in the morning and kind of like a weed hangover, essentially. And it just, I don't know, it didn't feel good. So I haven't gotten high in like 2 months. And like I said, I wasn't really doing it a lot to begin with. But honestly, I am kind of done forever. I think I'm just done forever. And if we were to do any type of drug, it probably would be shrooms, because it has more of a hallucinogenic mind trip, which is more exploratory. You can't get physically addicted. I don't feel sluggish after. And even that, we're not like doing more than twice a year.
Yeah.
So even with like alcohol, like I will never be drunk ever again in my life either. I don't mind getting tipsy, but I will never get drunk again. And I think the older you get, the more you value your health in aspects, because you can kind of feel it, not deteriorating yet, because I mean I'm still young enough where I'm not like, dying of old age and physicality, but you do start to try and want to take care of your body better, because there's like little aches and pains that you notice come about more easily, and you're like, I don't want this to continue into my 40s and 50s. If this is how bad it feels now, I want to try to help it as much as I can as I get older.
Drea says, I see your cat likes pencils.
Yeah.
Oh, Casper.
This one was really bad. But it helps me identify it. I always know it's the 4-H.
Oh, Casper. He chews everything still. He's got like that kitten mentality with chewing where he just likes to chew.
He's also more of a digger. He likes digging into the carpet right now, which we're trying to unteach him to do. But it's hard, because he kind of does it while we're sleeping.
Oh, he's probably off adventuring right now. Drea, common Q&A. What do you use to draw? Tim, cat toys. Danzu says, turning 30 next year, I feel it.
Yeah, and I don't want to like scare people, but I think every year you'll feel it a little bit more and more. And that's just the natural way of our human bodies, you know. We're not supposed to be in prime condition until we die. It's like a slow send off. For some people, it's faster, and you can definitely make it faster by like smoking cigarettes or eating really poorly or just never exercising, and that will catch up to you. And I think in our 20s, it's very easy to feel like invincible, or that like that won't be us. It's a very like in denial phase, and I see it with some of my cousins. They're like heavy drinking, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna catch up with you. Like,
Well, it's because when you're younger too, you have that feeling of invincibility, and yeah. I mean, honestly, even too, when I was smoking cigarettes, I was around a lot of other people that were smoking them too, and I think it almost becomes like acceptable to be slowly killing yourself. Like it becomes kind of like a joke or part of the conversation, and I don't know.
it's bad.
It becomes like acceptable. Yeah, it's anything. Even if you have friends that are all into drugs, like usually those people flock together because it becomes acceptable to be doing that. And it's like, no, I think maybe try to reach out of that. I mean, 'cause yeah, I mean, I was in a bad place too. So it's like you're around these people too that are doing this, thinking and feeling the same way, and it's like, oh, it's okay. We're all trying to just slowly kill ourselves, and I think that's just not a good mentality to have in life. There's a lot more to it than just doing drugs and smoking cigarettes to end things quicker.
And I think
It's only going to make the end a lot worse, though, too.
kind of a hot topic, but or hot take. But my best friend Kat says something that I actually really agree with. That she thinks culture in general, especially in America, is trying to put people to sleep. And I find that very interesting. And a lot of like the meme culture even is like making fun of like how work culture, working hard is just not who they are, and like being lazy or staying in late or partying too much, or like all that's become very acceptable and very much the norm. And me and her joke about this a lot on how it's easier to get ahead in our fields because so many people are what she would say sleeping through it, where they're not trying as hard, and it's almost like you don't have to as much as you used to, and it's kind of gross. I'm trying to, at least in the art world, be someone that can be like a leader for people to continue to work hard and don't take things for granted and push through. And I think we need more of that mentality, because I do see a lot of artists trying to just spit paint through things, or only post on Instagram quantity rather than quality. And I don't know. But I think even with like eating culture and smoke culture and drug culture and a lot of things that kind of numb you to life has kind of taken center stage, and I think it's become very popular.
Well, it's what's relatable right now, I guess. Like, once it becomes relatable, then everyone thinks that's what they have to be then to fit in the club.
I mean, even with kids, I mean, look at like Xanny is like the number one drug for like,
serious?
well, for like kids that do like explicit drugs. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't include weed in it, but yeah, Xanny is like the number one.
Interesting.
Besides, I mean, there's so many. What was the other ones that they take? Like Adderall,
think
Vicodin. They now find pills to take. And I even know, I'm not going to name names, but I know a lot of the younger kids that are finding access to like Coke and things. And I'm like, God, I can't even imagine what it's like being a Gen Zer where drugs are so normalized to the point where like that's in casual conversation of like popping Coke. That to me is like definitely crossing the line.
Yeah, don't do that. Please don't do that. I was a dare kid in school, so
Worked wonders.
yeah. Now I'm doing shrooms, so I mean, technically, would you classify shrooms as in the drug category? Or would it be more of like I guess at the same point, do we really know long term what it does to people?
I would never recommend it to people.
Yeah.
Like, I recommend it to my friends that I can trust and blah, blah, blah. Like, this is a whole other conversation. But I do think shrooms, kind of like how people consider dandelions to be weeds, the way that we classify things become ingrained in our minds when we're younger, and then we're conditioned through our lives to see things with negative associations. So like shrooms has a negative one, but if you think about it, shrooms are naturally found in earth, and it's not like something that was man-made. And I totally see that different than like acid, which is produced in laboratories. And like that to me is a little scary. But things like shrooms, no.
Not as much. Not
as much. But I still wouldn't recommend it because I could see kind of like when people, drink too much, yeah, they can be kind of scary. If they're behind a wheel of a car or in a situation where they can impact other people negatively, that's where I think it becomes dangerous. But if people are responsible with it, I think shrooms are amazing. I think they're very much like exploring life insightfully. I think they can help you get through hard times if you're going through, kind of a pinch, whatever that may be for you. So yeah, anyways, enough drug talk.
All right, I'm going to catch up on comments though.
Okay.
Felix says you're not the only one. A lot of people have been hit with sort of a lull, if not depressive episode during the Rona. Only been getting better for me in the last month or so. That's when you're talking about kind of your feeling of not being where your 25-year-old self would want you to be. But you're working through that now too. I think you're kind of getting a different light on.
I'm also getting better at saying no, because I realize my energy is something I need to conserve more, and I'm sure a lot of you guys might feel this too. I'm not necessarily, I didn't grow up as a pushover, but I was definitely very compliant with either authority or family members, and I had to kind of unteach myself that in my 20s, but that was very difficult. And even now, like there are times where I'm presented with a freelance project or a gig that I really don't want to do, and I've only recently been able to say no. And like the Netflix one with my old boss, that one was hard to say no to, especially because I had to do it on a phone call. But you have to learn that, otherwise your energy is always going to be given to other people. And if you don't give it to yourself first and foremost, it's kind of like, I always use the example of people saying on an airplane, always give your kid the oxygen mask, or give it to yourself first before giving it to your kid, because if you can't help yourself, how can you help others?
I mean, doing emails for Tim now too, especially I've been seeing the last couple of years as Tim's been really taking off with things too. There's a lot more emails coming in of people with opportunities, offers, collabs, stuff like that. There's a lot of emails coming in now too, and it's crazy. I mean, people are definitely pushy, because there's times even I'll be like, hey, at this time Timothy just can't do this. They will reply again. I'll be like, hey, no, sorry. They'll reply again, and it's like, it's hard. It's hard to say no, because when people budge back at it too, if you don't have that like grounding on things, sometimes you can just give in to things even though you know you don't want to, or you don't have the time to. And yeah, you get a lot of those where you have to really start picking and choosing what you want to exert your energy into.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. That's partially what's talked about in the influence book too. Of if you associate yourself as being a good person, saying no to people is very difficult for you. And they talk about how like if they can kind of bog you down enough where it like goes against your ethical view of yourself. Because if they're like, oh, come on, you seem like a nice guy, can you help me out? Like, that's where it becomes more manipulative.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think that book's helping you pick up on that more now.
Oh, so much better.
Fem says, I never understood wanting to get drunk. I always wanted to keep control over my brain and body. Yeah, I never felt good getting drunk. I think my body just never handled it well. I almost 100% of the time will throw up if I get drunk. So I'm like, why do I keep doing this to myself? But I did that when I was especially young 20s.
Yeah, it's definitely very American culture, I would say. Like, early 20s is supposed to get, like, hammered.
Yeah.
And I think we all kind of had, well, at least the people that I know, like, we all kind of had similar experiences where early 20s, yeah, it was a lot of heavy partying and nights hugging a toilet, and then spins while you're trying to go to bed.
It sucks.
I mean, I haven't been drunk since I was like 23, 24. Because I got sick one night and it was really hard to fall asleep. It was like laying in bed and like the room was spinning and I just could not fall asleep. And I remember that experience was so bad for me that I was like, I'm done. This is it. Like I'm never having this experience again where I have to lie in bed and just feel awful.
Janisha says it's 29 in my knees. I feel that. I just hit 29 and literally the day after I hit 29 I slept weird, so my neck was just so sore and I was like, I don't know if it's because I slept wrong or if it is just 29 now. Elena says, I accidentally got drunk a month ago at a gathering. There was like no food available. It was not fun. Gotta be more careful next time. Like, especially if you're not eating. That's even worse. Oh, Deandra. Deandra writes D-me-P.
What?
D-me-P. I don't know if typo or if I don't know that reference. Don says, I just focus on weight control. Turns out exercise is needed at whatever age you are. That is one thing I wish I was better at, is exercise.
Turns out you can.
I can. Yeah. It's not like a naturally something I don't think most people. Kat does. I think Kat actually like looks forward to exercising. I need to get to that mindset. Drea says, yeah, excessive drinking has become way too accepted. Seriously, every country song is about getting wasted. A lot of pop songs too. Oh yeah, media has a huge influence on, I think, how we view things, for sure.
Well, especially, I think there's a lot of pop culture in America that really emphasizes, it's just like self-indulgent, lazy overabundance. It's like not something I'm into at all. I used to be, like, growing up in the 90s, I think in America it's very easy to get into like the pop craze of like Britney and NSYNC and all that nonsense because it's more fun and bubbly. But now it's just, I think it is so bad. I think it's very much like me, 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 me. You know what's funny is we were even watching the new Disney Channel High School Musical, the series, more as like...
It's a guilty pleasure.
Oof, I would not say that. I would say it's fun to make fun of. Like, guilty pleasures to me would be like Space Jam, the original, or like the movie 13 Ghosts.
Oh, okay.
Or like movies that you kind of know are bad, but you secretly enjoy them. I do not enjoy High School Musical. I enjoy making fun of it.
Okay, so you more watch it to make fun of it.
But I like the movie.
I just want to make sure.
I can't deny that I actually did enjoy the movie. But anyways, in the show, the main girl, there's at one point, we're watching the second season, and she's supposed to write a song for the Beast and the Rose because they're doing the musical of Beauty and the Beast. And she's a really hard time writing it. And then eventually she gets to the point where she's like, oh wait, I'm just going to write from the Rose perspective because that's the character she's playing only. And the words start like flowing out. So then I was just making jokes with Josh. I'm like, oh, so whenever you made the song completely about yourself, it was really easy for the words to flow out. And I just feel like that's the way of culture right now. It's like me, 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 me. And I'm not a fan. I wonder who Josh is talking to right now. Speaking of learning to say no to people, this is like a really good opportunity where I think if I would answer the door, I'm really good at saying, oh, no thanks. Like, I don't know what they're talking about. But anyways, let me see where Josh left off to. Says, I think that might also be why people don't like being around people like me who don't drink at all, since it might hold up a mirror to themselves and why you must have a reason why you don't. I hope that's not the reason for you. I know for myself, I'm totally comfortable being around like drunk people or people on drugs, and it doesn't really bother me. But if people feel so uncomfortable that you're sober when they're drunk, I do see that as a them problem more so than you. I think as long as you don't make them feel bad about it, which I don't think you would, yeah, that's more on them then.
Do you have like a sticky note? Well,
Yeah,
this will be,
what?
I can let everyone know on the stream. In a second. This is cute.
What is this?
I'll let you guys know in a second.
Oh, Josh is soliciting drugs.
Yeah, I've got a deal going right now.
We'll have fun. Don't buy too much. Yeah, we'll find out what that is. Tim Tip, drugs are bad, okay? Oh, Felix, I love South Park. Them says, yeah, here in Belgium, land of beer, lol. I had friends at 14, 15 blacking out, vomiting, laying on the streets, making out with everyone they could find, and then a week later doing it again. Yeah, okay, then that is pretty similar to American culture. I think it very much emphasizes like having a good time, which of course means getting wasted. It's hard for me to even like be on the other side of it because I wasn't like party hardy. I definitely went to a lot of parties in my early 20s, but I didn't necessarily get like drunk at a lot of them. Actually, at some point, I started tricking people. I started bringing, it was called a bubba. It looked like a giant like water liquid holder, and I would fill it with wild raspberry tea, and I would tell people that it had vodka in it, but it didn't have any vodka. So people thought I was drinking this giant thing of vodka raspberry tea, but actually it was just tea.
All right. Anyways, so cool story.
Oh boy.
So the doorbell just rang. I went to the door, and this like older middle-aged woman. I don't want to say, oh my gosh, sorry. This middle-aged woman, her name is Nancy's at the door right now, and she's really sweet. But she was like, "Hey, my mom's in the area right now. They'll probably be stopping by sometime soon." Anyways, her mom's in the area right now, and she's like, "My mom lived here like 25 years ago in this home, and she would love to come just see it again." So yeah, I was just talking with her about it. It's really cute though. She's gonna bring pictures of the house and stuff,
Oh,
and they're
boy.
gonna come by. I gave her my number so she can text me when we can set up a date for them to come visit. But yeah, I was like, you can come over. We were thinking about even like, I was just like, you can come. We can just sit and drink tea for a little bit, and just she can talk about the house. Tim,
I hate that like my inner suspicious flag just flares at this.
they're bringing pictures of the house, and she lived here.
Okay, then I'd be a little more okay with it.
I'm very trusting of people, but I don't know.
I'm always a little more cautious, I think. I'm always like, oh, okay, so a stranger into the house claims they lived
I
here.
don't know, Tim. I think it'd be really cute though, and they're gonna. She's like, because I told her we want this to be our forever home, and yeah, she was like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm gonna bring pictures then.
Well, yeah, if they have pictures, I guess I would believe it more then.
Sorry, I feel like I told that story. It was just it was a cute interaction. I think it'd be really cool to have them come see. Plus, she's probably like just reminiscing about some older times. I don't know. She lived here 25 years ago. I'm sure she maybe had a family here for a little bit, or you know. I thought you'd be more excited, Tim.
No, I don't trust people.
I was expecting you to be like, "That's really cool."
Well, maybe it doesn't hit me as much because this actually happened like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And we had an old woman come and walk through the house. But I remember
it's the
when
same
it
one.
might be the same one. But I
Was her
remember.
name- Oh my god.
Oh, I don't remember.
Jane.
But I remember when
It was
she
Jane.
left, all of us were like, "What just happened?" It was like really weird.
Oh, was it?
But she didn't bring pictures, so like this I would believe more if she actually had
I said,
pictures.
I think if we maybe sat down for a second, had some tea, she could talk a little bit about it. Maybe like this home just meant something to her, so she just needs to.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's cute.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe we should just talk about it. Okay. I was like expecting you to be like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool," but that makes sense. Oh look, she already texted me.
So I found your number somehow.
Nancy and Jane. That's cute. Real cute.
Fem says, yes, the media that you want to podcast about, as it were, the ones that are enjoyable to come. What does it say?
Come on. Why do you ask the
Commentate
speech therapy
on?
kid? Commentate on, yes. That's the media that you want.
Oh, yeah. To be honest, I don't know if I've ever seen the word commentate written out before. Commentate. Yeah, I agree. What?
Sorry, no, I was reading tons. You know, even Zac Efron is talking about his retirement plan outside of the Hollywood. We are becoming yesterday's topic, and it's not coming back anytime soon. Getting old.
I mean, Zac Efron he's running that one show on Netflix that I really like. Oh gosh, what's it called? I can't think of it. Where he travels.
The one where he did the grounding thing.
Yeah, where people are kind of making fun of him for being a himbo because of it. But I actually think I think it's a good show. But it was just it just won an Emmy for something, or at least that's what I remember on Instagram. I'm not remembering
he has
that
a
one.
good outlook on life, I feel like.
I like Zac Efron,
Yeah.
and I like that he can make fun of himself. I think where he plays humor roles, he does the best. So like Neighbors 2, I thought he was so funny. I think he should do more roles like that.
Oh my gosh, what if Jane's like all these two little gay boys own this home now?
Yeah, she'd be so
She'd be
disappointed.
like, oh my gosh. You know what? We will still give her tea and hang out and hear the history. She's like in her 90s from a really, just older generation. There's these two gay boys in her house. She's like, oh my gosh. Just take me now. No, I'm actually really excited for that though. Let's see, I'm trying to catch up. A theory says, hey bestie, I'm late.
Hello.
Femme, oh my god, Tim, why do you only spill that tip now? I would have had so much less awkward and pressuring conversation about not wanting to drink. What were we talking about?
I was gonna say, what was my tip? I forgot.
Was it when I was at the door?
Was it because he was talking about how people will feel uncomfortable being around her?
Were you drinking water or something?
Oh, that's right. My tip.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, fill a mug that isn't see-through, because then, okay, here's another thing. Okay, I have a lot of tips for anyone that wants to go to parties and not actually get drunk, but give the impression that they're drinking a lot. I sometimes will pull a Coyote Ugly, which is where you have a bottle of beer so you can actually see the liquid. So you drink some, and then if you take a shot after, no, sorry. The Coyote Ugly is if you take a shot, but you really don't want to take the shot. What you do is you take the shot, you hold it in your mouth, pretend you swallow, and then as your chaser, when you drink it, when you put the chaser down, you spit the shot
Ew.
into the chaser drink. Then you go to the bathroom and you just dump it in the sink. But my bathroom trick actually works way more with other things, because I would all the time get a beer, or I would get a drink that was made for me that I just did not want to drink. I would go to the bathroom. Like, imagine if it was like a vodka tonic or something. I would hold my hand over the glass so the ice stays in. I would dump it in the sink and then fill it with water. I would do that all the time. But my biggest trick was for sure the mug that I would tell people had vodka in it, and it was a raspberry vodka drink when really it was just raspberry tea. Once I hit I'm telling you, once I hit 24, 23, 24, and this is early, it's 22, 23, I was kind of done. I was done with the party scene. I was done feeling sick, and I found all these little tricks to not be drunk anymore. Or, last one, is if you get a beer can or some kind of a can, nowadays I guess it would be a Truly, or what's the popular seltzer? White Claw. And if you really don't want to drink it, literally go to the bathroom, dump it out, fill it with water, and that way it's still people will feel that it's a heavy can if they ever question you, and you can just swig that.
Or I guess you just say you're not going to drink and you don't have to even.
Yeah, but then there's a social
Wasted
pressure, and you don't want to be. I've been in your position where people will give you crap for not drinking.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost easier to just look like you're drinking than to say you're not drinking.
Well, especially Wisconsin, because it's like so.
It's ingrained.
West, especially like. Fem says, Josh, you better keep us updated. Guess that if we don't hear from you guys anymore, we'll call the police. I feel like we'll be good. Nancy and Jane. I don't know if that tells you guys anything about them, but they seem really sweet.
Well, I won't be here when they come.
I'm texting her back really quick. I'm not trying to be rude. It was. I thought it was like a rare occurrence, but apparently you said this has happened before in the past, so now I'm like, darn it.
Sorry to burst the bubble on that. Okay, I think I'm gonna move over into the hand, and then I'll finish with the pentacle. That way, on the stream, because we have like an hour left, I feel like I at least kind of show the major parts of the rendering here. There we go. So you can see how it takes this very light rendering to kind of give the form and shape to a lot of these elements, especially with hands and anything that's involved with the human body. I try to do very light shading, and it kind of has that kind of ghostly look and feel to it. So if you see my other tarot cards, I like where it kind of has that mysterious element, so it's like very light shading.
Oh, Candor's here. Candor, hello.
Hey, Candor.
How have you been doing? Miss you. Cannot stay long because it's late, but I miss so many streams and I miss everyone, so hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, Candor. Drea says it's... I don't know the context of this one either. It must have been when I was at the door still. She says, it's why I don't give my full name out. I'm just this little thing who knows what could happen with me if people are weird enough.
Yeah. Well, like, especially if I lived by myself for some reason, I would never let someone in my house. Because weirdly, that's like my number one nightmare now that I'm older.
Yeah.
It's not like a chainsaw wielding maniac. It's not the ring girl like it used to be for so long. It's literally someone being in my house. Like, imagine if it's like 1 a.m. and you're walking through your house, turning off the lights, and then as you're in the basement, you go to turn off a light and you just see a figure like 30 feet away on the other side of the room. Oh, worst nightmare.
It happens all the time.
I know. Home abductions do happen all the time. That's why it is my number one fear, because I feel like it's a real fear now. Where before it was like psychological fear, like you psyching yourself out.
We're gonna see Nancy in our basement and her mother Jane.
I think I'm so mistrusting of these type of weird situations that now I would believe that they're just the ploy to get in later.
Oh my god.
Like for other people. Because who could possibly resist the allure of an older woman saying that she wants to walk through the home of her yesteryear?
I don't think that's the case with this.
I don't think it is either.
I think
I'm
it's
just
a cute older woman who wants to come back to a house that meant something to her. And we'll give her some tea and she can express her stories to us, and it's less than an hour and we're good.
I'm just saying it's something that I think about.
And then later in the day Jane comes back and murders us both. So it works out perfectly.
If she comes first and murders you, I'm gonna be so upset because I told you something like this could happen.
You know what? As Jane's killing me, you can be like, I told you so.
Alright, you're giving me permission
I'll
to
take it, yeah.
Alright.
Fem says, yeah, I was not going to buy alcohol and then dump that and refill with water. Talking about money going down the drain.
Literally.
That's when you're saying, like, pouring out a White Claw. I'm like, those are, like, I think $1.50 or $2 each a can, probably.
Yeah, but if someone hands you it,
Oh, my God. Dude.
then you don't have to feel as bad.
And, oh, Anthony, I know what you mean. I don't drink any alcohol, and I'm always called a party pooper. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I'll still drink. Like, I don't mind having a drink or two, especially, well, I hate soda, so now it's, like, on the rocks, and usually it's, like, Crown Royal, so, like, a whiskey. Or we do those tonics, or the spritzers, which aren't horrible, but, I don't know. I think alcohol plus soda is, like, it might taste good, but it's, like, the worst combination for your stomach.
It even says maybe it just means the house is well loved by all occupants. I feel like we keep jumping between these two topics right now. He says by all occupants since they keep coming back to revisit it. That's what I think. This house has like such a like good energy about it.
I mean,
And
I
they wanna-
agree.
Yeah,
That's probably
it
what it
draws
is.
them back. We're like the murder house and American Horror Story. Their ghosts are just gonna come live here because they loved it so much. Maybe something. Don says fitting in is so overrated. Nowadays, I just tell people I don't drink. Yeah, I feel like that's the point you have to get at eventually, Tim.
I mean, I do tell people I'll never get drunk again. I know my cousins are always really disappointed when they hear that. But even last time they were here when they wanted to get high, I was like, I'm not. Like, I'll sit out by you guys. Like, I'll talk with you guys, but I'm not doing that anymore. So I think I've learned how to say no. But I think with alcohol, I haven't had to, like, trick people into thinking I'm drinking in so long.
Yeah, you don't do that.
Which one of our friends is, like, heavy party hardy where they want to, like, go hard drinking? No one.
No one really.
I'm in my 30s now, you know, like, we're old.
Candor says, also, guess what, Josh? The pin is still in Arabia. I gave up on it, not gonna lie. Oh, Candor, I mean, we can try sending another one. I'm telling you, international shipping lately has just been a headache, and I don't know why. Specifically, it's either Spain is the one country for some reason that anything I ship to Spain, there's always like a 50% chance it's gonna like either just get lost in customs or never show up anywhere. It just like disappears from tracking and everything. Spain, and then actually Japan's always been fine, but yeah, I don't know about South Korea. I think you're the only person that I've shipped to South Korea so far. Something.
And I will say,
international shipping though has just been a headache.
just from headache,
Headache.
oh boy, we do a lot of shipping, and I think we've only seen, no offense, but it seems like European people expect really fast shipping from the States, because whenever we get a complaint, we get like 1 or 2 complaints a week on just like the shipping time, but it will be like, you ordered it last week.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
And for some reason, I don't know if that's like conditioned into when you order something from the States where it comes like really fast, but that is when I order something from overseas, I expect it to be like a month.
My statistics have shown it's usually Italy are the people I get the most of those from.
Like, where is it?
Yeah. These aren't like general, I'm just saying for us personally, it's mostly Italy orders that will be the ones that like a week after we ship it, they're asking where it's at, if it's lost, if they can get a replacement or a refund. There's like, it's just interesting.
Because how many times have we told them like, oh, we're so sorry, like we'll send out a new one, and then like a week or 2 later we'll get another message being like, oh, the first one
Oh my
arrived,
gosh.
and we're like,
The amount of like the books, especially too. There's people get like 2 sets of books sometimes because of that. But I will say though, shipping has been
bad.
yeah.
So like, it's not even like they're not completely in the wrong for like, where is my stuff? Because now it takes like a month and a half
I've seen
would say
upwards of
roughly.
like 3 months. One person I shipped
What?
out a replacement to someone. They got the replacement before they got the first order.
Yeah, that's bad.
I don't get why, but
And what's bad though is like it's out of our hands. Like once we send it off, we can't make it go to people faster.
yeah.
And they take it out on us, and I don't. Sometimes I'm like, man, like you bought this art book from an Etsy shop. Like, can't you expect, or can't you like realize that we're not the ones making it delayed at this point?
Will make it more complicated. Them shipping us the double they got back is actually more expensive than them just keeping it.
Yeah.
So
which
at
is
that point, I'm just
interesting.
like, hey, enjoy your 2 sets of collector boxes.
So no one take advantage of that if you
Yeah.
get from our shop anything.
Don says, have some suspicion is good.
Thank you, Dom.
Trying to agree with Tim there. Just let anyone into your home, it's fine.
Just bring them in. Let them take pictures. Show them where the safe is.
Kendra says, oh god, sorry, but something weird happened to me lately too. Still don't know what to think about it, but that more has to do with some bad experience I had with some random people approaching me. Yeah, I mean, I'm usually like, if I'm out and about, I'm usually kind of to myself, but I think I'm more inclined to talk to strangers. Although, you know what? You do it too, though. Like,
I'll
you're
usually
right there, you
tell
did that,
people
but
like, I like what you're wearing, or
yeah,
something like that.
you're pretty good at that. But yeah, there can be sometimes awkward interactions.
I judge people very much on intentions. So sometimes if I question intentions, that's where like my gut gives me that feeling of like, oh, like something doesn't feel right. Like with this old lady, like my gut's not like flaring up, so like yeah,
That's
probably
I
fine.
go off my gut instinct with things for the most part.
How's that turned out for you?
And usually, if it's an older woman, I tend to probably there's probably some big social context with that, but usually I'm like, I don't feel any threat from her.
So you're
But you know, honestly,
sexist.
she could pull out a gun, so it's not like
So are you saying
even though
women are
she's physically
inferior?
not able to beat me.
What are you trying to say here?
Yeah, look at me. I feel inferior to him with my 115-pound gay body. That's like literally cracking every second. I don't know what I'm just saying I didn't feel threatened, so my gut instinct is that this is safe. And it makes sense in the context. If her mom lived here 25 years ago, I'm putting together the history of the house, and I feel like that would make sense.
It's your funeral.
D says, I'm the closest to the door. Hang on, I scrolled down. D says, oh, I'll be the first to die because I'm the closest to the door.
Oh my god, Tyler and Sean used to joke about that a lot too. We always thought when there were like 6 of us living here that if someone came in and wanted to kill us all, one, they'd have to kill a lot because there's 7 of us. There were
Oh my
7 of us
gosh.
at one point. But I always felt the most safe because I'm in the upstairs side room. So at that time, I was like, if someone came in, they would kill Sean first, then they'd kill Tyler.
Oh my god, this conversation.
Well, no, this was like a group conversation.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I feel like growing up we had these two.
Because then they would have to either, if they went into the basement, then it would be Gabe and Ashley.
Gosh, this person is like going on a spree.
Yeah, this is like work. They're like clocking in for the day. Like, wow, I should get paid overtime for all this stuff.
All they wanted was to take the TV in.
Yeah, they got a lot more that day. And then they'd have to come upstairs. I would assume they would go left first because the door is closer to the stairs, which would be key, and then mine would be other side. Unless if someone had a vendetta against me and knew where I slept, then I would be the first to go.
Fair enough.
So that was the
Or you
conclusion we
just-
came to.
Well, you don't have enough time to crawl out the window by that point then, too.
I would feel pretty safe that I could go into the crawl space or like the closet area,
Yeah.
or like find somewhere where I could hide.
Crawl out the window. Literally get out of the house. Run. You gotta just run.
I mean, yeah, I could do
Yeah.
that. Well, and the other problem is we don't lock our doors usually. So, like, even though I'm trying to, if I'm coming across like I'm super paranoid or safe, like, even right now, our doors are unlocked on the entire house. Even in my van that's parked in the driveway, unlocked.
Asa says they know where you live. Now you just need to find out where they live. It's only fair. We'll get a little house tour of their place.
You'd be like, oh, now that you got to see our house, can we go see yours?
Oh, Kendra says it's now in our P.O. box. We have to check that again. We probably check the P.O. box once every 2 months.
Well, we're
We
going
need
to
to
do
be
it
better
more
at it.
because my little cousin who used to work for us would go drop off the packages every Tuesday. But now that we don't drop it off, or
He
because we
doesn't.
weren't dropping it off, we wouldn't go check the P.O. box. But now that we're going to be having to drop it off ourselves again, which will probably be you.
We should make it a weekly thing now again.
Yeah.
That way then I can know for sure.
Agreed.
Kendra, what's your story though? Kendra says I got approached by a girl and she said she doesn't know what Instagram is and she didn't recognize an iPad. I was drawing when she approached me. And then she wanted to meet up and kept telling me we should meet up, which in Korea is a huge red flag 9 out of 10 times.
Oh, is this like what's that called with? Where they pick up girls and then use them for like bad rings of things. It's like kidnapping. What's that called?
Oh, trafficking?
Yes.
Trafficking?
Is that human trafficking?
I know that's an issue here too of specifically girls have to be really careful. And that's scary because yeah, they usually really try to get into your life.
Yeah.
The same way we have the Tim Tips book, we should have a Josh's Dangerous Advice book. I mean, I've lived in not very good areas, so I know, like...
You would think you would know better.
Yeah. But
You don't.
I'm going off my gut with this one. I think we'll be fine. We'll have some tea. We'll literally just make tea.
Why is tea like the equalizer?
Because I think that's like a peace offering. So if they did plan on killing us, at least they're like, oh, you know what? They gave us tea. They're pretty decent.
At least we got Lady Grey before we killed them.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Tim, don't tell people your doors are unlocked. That needs to go in Josh's Deadly Advice book. Yeah, Tim just openly saying...
I really gotta keep that quiet.
Yeah, Tim's getting on me. The first book box Tim ever made had our home address on it.
Yeah.
I was like, Tim, you don't know everyone that's buying your stuff.
You gotta remember, at the time, I didn't have a P.O. box. So, like, putting down the house made sense. Because where would return things go? But, like, once, I remember my roommate Ashley, you said, like, there was a point where she's like, Tim, you're popular enough on Instagram where if someone was crazy enough to want to find you, it'd be way too easy to find you.
Yeah. It's on your book box.
It's on the book box.
In, like, bold print.
We took it off.
Yeah. The door is unlocked, though.
If you can find our house in Waukesha, just knock on every door. We're the one that's unlocked.
You don't have to knock even, just... Please
But
don't.
it'll be hard to find because most people in Wisconsin don't lock their doors.
That's true.
Unless if you're in Milwaukee.
Our next door neighbor did tell us too he owns a shotgun.
Yeah, he went a little crazy. Like, when it comes to politics, Josh and I try to stay in the middle and then, like, maybe lean one way or the other. He's, like, very leaning right and kind of gives the bad impression for Republicans because he sounds like he's really, like, ready to retaliate. And, like, I don't know if I'm just very anti-gun, but the idea of, like, owning a shotgun in case someone in Waukesha, Wisconsin, like, threatened me at my house, I just don't see that as a viable thing happening. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I try to have, like, respect everyone's decisions to do things. So I don't know.
We actually have an art question.
Oh wow, first one all stream.
Ryan asked, you probably get this a lot, but how do you plan out your ideas?
You know, I'm one of the artists that I like to let things grow organically. So even with, like, my Woodland Youth 6 drawing, I knew I wanted to draw him this year with fish. Like that was the concept. And then I was on, we went to a crystal shop, I believe, when I had my iPad with me and I drew. Actually, I can show you guys. Where I drew the initial sketch of it. I was like playing with different ideas. Let's see, where would I put this on here? There. So the initial idea was this. Now, obviously I can let the drawing grow or change as it wills because I like I said, I like things growing organically. So then as I was doing it, I don't want to spoil too much, but I guess there's not a lot of people here today, so I can kind of let you guys know. I'm going to be essentially recreating this drawing, but I'm going to be having the fish on string, like a fishing line, like literal fishing line, but it's compostable, so I didn't buy the plastic ones. And then I'm going to connect like long chains of these fish, and then I'm going to cut him out, and I'm going to pull all these fish underneath him so it looks like it's a moving animatronic thing. And I'm really into having things move or be like built. And that's kind of the basis for my Drawtober entries this year. I'm not going to spoil anything for that, but I will say I'm more into the idea of like almost paper puppet shows, but with my work. So we'll see how it goes. But in terms of the drawing being created, yeah, it might just be like a sketch on the way while I'm drawing. And actually yesterday, I timed, or was it 2 days ago? I tried to time myself to do like a half hour of free drawing. And like this, I started with the witch hat because I like Halloween stuff. I'm kind of getting into that vibe. We have the Drawtober crew coming on Saturday. So as I was drawing it, I was like, oh, how cool would it be if it was like a skull that you could barely see, and it was like this scarecrow figure who would feed crows these weird gems that then he could see through their eyes, and there's smoke coming out of the eyes of all these crows that are flying overhead. And it would be like really long. He would have like 2 sets of arms on each side, and it'd have all these different clashing fabric and textiles. So as I'm kind of playing with an idea, it all started with the idea of I like triangle hats. I like the implications that usually, you know, are associated with them of Halloween and witch. And then I'll play with it from there. But for me, art is very much like a journey when it comes to that kind of work that I do. And it's very much opposite of the tarot deck, which is very specific. It has a look, it has meaning, there's symbology in it that I want to capture, and I don't want to lose it. So when I do tarot stuff, it is a little bit more planned, very much ahead of time. But I would say normally when I do drawings, I try to create shapes and ideas and mash them together. And sometimes it works wonderfully, and then other times, yeah, not great. But I think with being an organic type artist, you have to take the good with the bad. And I feel like my best work has come from drawing organically, but also some of my worst work, which I haven't even posted on Instagram. Because sometimes I know I can render really well, but you don't want to be polishing a turd either. You know, you got to kind of find that balance of, am I just making something appear nice because it has a nice polish on it, or is it actually good quality and composition and value and all that stuff? Okay, so how much? We got like a half hour left. I'm going to finish this side of the coin and then do some final touch-ups, but then, yeah, this was kind of taking the card into the final stage here in the cleanup.
FM says, Tim, Josh just wants to see the best in people. Don't kill his innocence.
Very true.
Some strangers over for tea. Nothing could go wrong. Asa says, I'm doing this because y'all are I saw your edit. Wholesome content? If you need a bear with muscle, hit me up. I'll wear a suit and shades and not say a word, sipping tea 10 feet away.
That would be great. I've always found that I befriend sometimes people that are like more built, like stronger, especially when I was in high school. But now looking back, I'm like, this was like a protection like mechanism that I used to do, because I would be friends with like these very bigger guy like Blummer, some of the people in the art room that I clearly like felt safe around.
Oh, I had that in middle school too. Mm-hmm. 2 of my closest friends were these bigger guys. But yeah.
So yeah, we'll take you up on that offer.
Oh, Tyler's here.
What up, Tyler?
Tyler, hi, miss you. Tyler says maybe you should hide a sword in each room.
Too soon. Hashtag too soon.
Oh my gosh.
I won't name names either, but there was someone that did hide a weapon in every room of the house in case someone broke in. Very, very, I don't want to say, I'll say very cautious, to be nice. Very cautious.
Shreya says, what are you drawing right now? Late to the stream.
Oh yeah, so this is the Ace of Pentacles. So this is for my tarot deck that I'm working on. I believe this is card 7. I've been getting mixed up in if I've done 6 or 7. And there are 78, so clearly I'm like almost done. And I will probably stick with one a month even through October. I might take a break in September just because that's when I'll probably be really pushing a lot of my October things. Oh yeah, actually, speaking of things over the weekend, Josh got a new keyboard.
Oh yeah.
And he is going to be creating the music for all the prompts, teaser trailer, and some other little goodies that we have planned.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's cute. It's red. It's a portable keyboard, so it doesn't have all the keys, but it's perfect for just being able to like tinker around and play little songs here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So
we can't even say what type of songs.
Oh,
that might give away the
yeah.
theme.
I actually was about to say it too. So
I know I was like, oh, I just can't say what.
Holding it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll wait.
Because I think even if you said what type of instruments you want to download, that would give it away.
Yeah, no, I can't do that.
So if any of you are interested in a drawing challenge this October, me and a couple other people are hosting Drawtober on Instagram and Twitter, where instead of drawing a different prompt every day, it's one every 5 days roughly. So there's 6 prompts altogether. And last year we themed it as a harvest festival and like all the prompts related to that. And this year we already have a theme picked out. And the Saturday we are kind of finalizing the teaser and some other things. And August 1st, so less than 2 weeks, we'll be pushing out the teaser and the new logo. And yeah, it'll be.
God, I actually really have to start working on this.
Yeah, you do.
I realize my time is coming up really quick. Uh-oh.
It'll be really fun. I'm really looking forward to this fall.
Got this.
Just because it's a theme that I not only feel comfortable in, but I feel like my mind flourishes in. So like I'm super excited for this year's theme.
Drea says, I wish I had Josh's social gusto. I have crazy social anxiety, so reaching out is very hard for me.
Normally Josh does have social anxiety, I feel.
But this I just think it's going to be like one of those cool interactions.
Probably.
Yeah.
It probably will be.
That's what I feel about it. And I think it's going to be cool to see pictures of our house from like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not even saying that you're wrong.
That
I actually kind of agree with you. I think it will be kind of cool to see this person again.
Yeah. Because maybe in the past, maybe you just
actually
didn't talk with her.
Wait, Tyler's here.
Time...
Tyler, if you're here, do you remember the lady that came to our house?
Was her name Jane?
Was her name Jane? Because this happened when I wasn't here.
And her daughter's name is Nancy. Nancy and Jane.
Last name Drew.
I play so much Dead by Daylight, I just think of Nancy Wheeler from Stranger Things anytime I hear the name Nancy. Nancy.
Oh, speaking of terrible things that could happen, I watched Space Jam 2 over the weekend. And
oh, yeah.
I'm telling all of you right now, please don't watch it. It was so bad that it's not even like so bad it's funny. It was legit bad. It felt like a giant advertisement for Warner Brothers, and kind of like what we were talking about earlier of products and the culture just gravitating towards inauthenticity. This was like the poster boy for that type of feel. And like, yeah, some of the visuals were impressive on like a technical level, and I feel bad for the artists that work at these studios, but I can not only not recommend it, I would actually recommend against it. That's how much I did not enjoy the experience with Space Jam 2.
Candor, Josh and I are birthday twins, so I'm not surprised about being usually socially cautious, but also being into the sort of romantic idea of her coming by. Yes, actually, that's exactly it. I'm imagining like those old Victorian movies where they come over and like they have tea and they're sipping and like the lights pouring into the room, and it's just this like, I don't know, these cute memories of the photos coming down. I don't know. Yeah, Space Jam though, you're gonna want a home intruder with that.
I felt intruded watching it. So right now I'm doing a sunburst on the coin. So usually I'll give myself kind of foundation lines that kind of set the kind of arc, not an arc, what would this be called? Like basically the angle of the lines. And then from here, yeah, so on the original card, it was just on the original hand.
I was trying to look.
But in all the other cards, I don't actually have my tarot cards that I've done of Ace of Swords, Cups, and Wands because they're packed in our con suitcase. I forgot to take them out beforehand. But they all have these sunburst lines coming out of either the hand or the object. And to keep consistent with those three, I'm going to do it on this one as well. So you can watch me do a sunburst for the final 25 minutes here. And then sometimes I like to draw like little lines that are coming off of it, just just a hint, just to tickle. Actually, I might do more of these foundation lines though first.
I have no idea.
Oh, Julia says that their thing is a good remake.
No.
No.
For the most part, no. I can't actually think of one off the top of my head even.
Well, technically Space Jam 2 is a sequel. But it's weird because it kind of... Remakes and sequels, anything that has a prior property that a studio can bank on for monetary gain, yeah, I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah.
I refuse to watch any Disney remake or superhero movie because not only are they all very much cash cows, but they cater so much now to... I read this giant report of how Disney specifically caters to the China audience in terms of making sure it's safe for the country's restrictions on what filmmaking can showcase. And I think that's why you see a lot of safer choices now with these big blockbuster movies. Like, they never feel like they're pushing the buttons or like pushing creativity or originality. They're very much like cut, copy, paste. And
well, it doesn't make people question anything different or like think of ideas outside of the box.
no.
Yeah.
Actually, there's this great YouTube video I posted on the Discord that it's under, I think, film and video, where it's this guy, his name's Chris Gore, and I really like his view of movies. He's a professional critic, but he gives insight that's not just like, old guy in a chair swirling wine. Like, he gives insight because he loves film, and I feel the same way, where when I critique film, it's not because I'm trying to just dog on creatives that are trying to make a living. It's because I believe that we need more original stories to not only keep creativity alive in the media, but also I think because we become more numb then to entertainment where it's no longer affecting our lives. But I think the best films that at least I've ever seen are the ones that make you question your own life and stance on things after you leave, or maybe makes you connect with a type of personality that normally you wouldn't. And I kind of hate the new trend of, like, it's weird because, yes, diversity is important, but I think people are misunderstanding that just because there's a gay guy in a film doesn't automatically mean that's who I'm going to relate to. And if there wasn't a gay man in a film, that I couldn't connect with them.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, I connect mostly with straight characters and usually straight women in film, and then usually the villain, surprisingly. And oftentimes when they throw a gay guy in for, like, to check the box of making sure they get everything in there, it's like a stereotype or someone that feels very hollow. And I think because we're throwing in checkmark box type characters rather than actual breathing, living characters with a story and a life that you can connect with.
Yeah, I'd rather the writers, whoever's making the movie, make characters that they can somewhat relate to.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, that feels more genuine. I don't need a gay character in every movie I watch to feel like I'm being heard or seen.
No.
Yeah.
And if anything, it feels so forced. I actually feel like they took a step back then.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some other minority groups probably feel similar where, yeah, it's nice seeing themselves represented, but it's not represented authentically, which can almost be worse. But I don't know. I'm only speaking on the gay side of things. Obviously, I don't know what it is like being of a different skin color. That maybe representation is still so important just to see it, that even if it's a very stereotyped or very simple character, I don't know. That's a whole discussion on its own, though.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a rant out of nowhere.
But yeah, on the movie thing though, I think, speaking of drugs from earlier, I think nostalgia too is another thing that millennials just have to get over. We
Member
don't have
berries.
to have another Space Jam. You can go back and watch the old one. It's still out there. We don't need, like, the whole nostalgia thing to me is so dumb when they have to remake movies, because it is. It's like there's literally a Space Jam that you can go and watch right now if you want to. Like, we don't need a brand new one to make it more relatable now. Like, to me, it's just dumb. It's there.
But think of it like this, like playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I'd be okay if they never make a Harry Potter movie again.
Yeah, no, I mean, Fantastic Beast is flopped. It's awful. I don't need anything else in that universe. I really, honestly, the old movies I'm okay with.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't need a series. I don't need, because they're doing that with Lord of the Rings too. They're making a series, and I'm like,
I thought you were excited for that.
I mean, yeah, but at the same token, I'd be okay without it. But I know it's supposed to be like a different storyline though, so that makes more sense, I guess. They're going off more similarity and stuff though, so I don't know. But the nostalgia thing gets a little too much though sometimes.
It's way too much. I think South Park hit it on the head with their whole member berries and how that's what they're feeding people. Like, you don't even have to create content anymore. Just create something that people can remember.
Oh my god, the meme, oh my gosh.
And that's it.
Well, they're so funny. Shreya says, doesn't the pencil shading smudge when you move your hand and scale like that on the paper?
I mean, if you can kind of see here, I'll put my wrist in the frame. I usually don't move my wrist. It's like I move my fingers holding the pencil. So, like, yeah, I'll get some rub a little bit, and usually I'll take my eraser and clean it up. But normally when I draw, I'll try to not place my hand on areas like this, but I can't get to, like, an area like this without resting my hand on here. And as much as I know other people will put either a piece of paper or something under their hand, I actually find it just better or easier for me to just go in and clean it up. Because sometimes I notice when I have something under my hand, that can even rub, and it will rub a larger area than usually just this part is resting on the page for me, and that is usually really easy to clean up. But I might not be the best to take advice from, because like I said, you could easily just put something under your hand, and it would create that same effect. Actually, I think the sunburst, now that I'm looking at it, they're like too close together. I might have to space some of those out.
Drea says live action dark fairy tale remakes are usually okay, but just blatant reintroduction to a new audience doesn't work. I mean, sometime I wonder if they're even trying.
Wait, what was the first part of that?
Live action dark fairy tale remakes are usually okay.
I would actually disagree. I don't think I've seen a good one besides Cinderella. And like Maleficent, the first one wasn't bad. Oh, I guess Dark Fairy Tale.
Was Pan's Labyrinth wasn't a remake, was it, when they did that one? There was an older
No,
one.
Pan's Labyrinth's original. I guess you'd have to give me an example, because I might actually agree with you on this.
Secret Garden, I don't think that's dark.
Secret Garden was terrible. The new one?
No, the new one was awful, but the 90s one was better than the 70s or 80s one. I forgot when the first one was. Same with Little Women. I actually like the newer one. It wasn't, to me, it wasn't bad.
I thought the new Little One was not bad.
And they made like 4 of them now. So that was like a remake that I'm okay with, but
I also never saw the original.
But that's another, I think they keep doing it because it's one of those good stories that like has lasted for generations. So they want to keep it somewhat relevant, I guess, still.
I mean, I think we can collectively agree, though. Normally we don't like to see remakes or sequels to things or properties that we love. I know, like, some people are excited for Hocus Pocus 2, and that's easily my favorite Halloween movie, but, like, I don't really need a sequel to that. I thought it was good where it was, and I mean, I'll watch it for sure, but I'm not amped for it, I'll say.
I mean, it could be really good. I think that's what we all tell ourselves when they do this, but it could maybe be surprisingly good. We'll see.
The difference between like now and even when they made Hocus Pocus back in the day, I mean, it flopped when it first came out, but I think the passion behind creative projects, they're so different because now money is such a goal and such like a set point for people that they can't take as many risks, or you can't have it be as genuine. Or even with like set pieces, everything's so green screen because digitizing things saves money that it just ruins,
Oh yeah.
I think, a lot of the practicality of being on set, like being in the cottage that the witches live in. And losing that, I think, loses some of the appeal. At least for me, it does, for sure.
Well, that's the difference between. That's why the early Harry Potter movies always felt more magical than the later ones too, because they weren't using as many sets.
Or even a better
Like, it
example that
changes
people
it.
bring up is Lord of the Rings versus The Hobbit. Lord of the
Oh,
Rings
yeah.
had more actual sets versus, well, in New Zealand than The Hobbit, which was very, very heavily green screen. But there was green screen moments in Lord of the Rings, but it was usually to kind of set the scene or kind of show the ambience of the environment, and then it would, be more close up in New Zealand shots.
Oh, Candor's gotta go to bed. Candor,
Bye,
it
Candor.
was so good to see you. Candor says, please be safe, healthy, and hydrated. Hope to see you soon again.
You
Love
as well.
Candor. Be safe. And I will definitely add you on Steam too, because D by D, I could use some buddies.
D-by-D. I love watching Josh play D-by-D, but I haven't been able to because you moved your computer upstairs.
I know.
I guess you can move the one that's in the basement up to the family room.
And play it. I mean, I technically could stream it from all the way up from the bedroom down to the TV.
Oh.
But then I know I want to be right there. Fem says, I love the therapy YouTube videos. Or sorry, I love the cinema therapy YouTube videos. Even though it is about the more popular superhero Disney stuff, it is pretty interesting to watch.
I don't even know if I've seen what you're talking about. What was it? Cinema therapy?
Cinema therapy. I feel like I've seen that.
Why have I heard?
It's
Maybe I
definitely
have.
shown up and recommended for me, I think.
Oops. Cinema.
Oh yeah.
No, I have not seen any of them.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I actually watched the one in Twilight. That one, the toxic relationship thing. I mean,
Is Kristoff the perfect man?
Bella and Edward are definitely, it's a toxic.
Interesting. I'd have to give it a watch. Because I do like any discussion on cinema, even if it's one that I disagree with. So I'm into watching anything. As long as it creates a good discussion.
Felix says sequels usually suck because they're afterthoughts where the setting isn't as novel and won't carry a weaker story.
Absolutely.
Drea, I struggled with the sunburst in my own piece last night. Where are you? Where were you yesterday?
I mean, I do very simple sunbursts where I don't even need them to be equally spaced. I kind of like the slightly irregularity to it. I think it kind of gives charm, almost. I know, like, when I think of, like, a lot of even sunbursty stuff, I relate to my Catholic background, and a lot of figures they would depict with halos that had these giant sunbursts that would, like, just explode in every direction. And it never felt symmetrical to me. Like, it always felt very kind of sporadic. And then some would be longer in areas, and then that's why I even like doing these little, like, breaks where, you have some of them kind of piecing off. So yeah, I would say for sunburst, I wouldn't be too calculated with it because that's where it can look a little too forced. I think having a sunburst where it just, it just feels good. I think measuring everything out and lining everything perfect can actually take away from the sunburst quality.
Drea says, then you have instances like Luca, oh no, where they're just two close friends and the audience is like, oh my god, did you see him wave at the guy? They're gay! Oh my god, Luca.
So we watched
was
Luca.
So boring.
I know and there's probably a lot of you that may have liked Luca. I personally was not a fan of Luca. I thought it was very derivative of other properties, and like even the first 10 minutes, it just felt like Little Mermaid, and I was like, why is Disney ripping off their own story? And then
I wanted to like the movie too.
I wanted to like it, and like I did hear the whole it's like Call Me by Your Name feeling, and I liked Call Me by Your Name a lot, and I liked the feeling that it had, where I actually just thought this one was more of, it was pretty but very weak in its story, because it didn't even feel like a Ghibli story where it might be slower paced. Like when you think of Totoro or Kiki's or Cat Whispers or a lot of these that are more slower paced, or Up on Poppy Hill, Whisper of the Heart, they're slower, but usually like there's an underlying meaning to it. And I think like Kiki's I didn't understand as a kid, and then I watched it earlier this year and I realized it's about work ethic and finding the balance between overworking yourself and your passion, and like it made way more sense, and I felt it. Watching Luca, it just felt directionless. And then the big purpose was to beat this mean bully biker in a bike race, and I think it should have been more focused on why they're able to go onto the land and become human. Like, who are their people? Why are the parents so upset? The town was so quick to just accept it. And I was like, isn't this town supposed to be all about like hating like merm people and savages in an almost slight way?
The movie, yeah, the lesson was so safe at the end, so it's like, okay. And then, yeah, the pacing was just weird. It was just like a very high energy film, but then the pacing was slow. So it's kind of just like, what's happening right now? But like Whisper of the Heart, for example, I think the movie knows what it is. So like Miyazaki, it is a slower paced movie, and it's like throughout the entire movie it is that. It is supposed to be like slice of life, where this just felt, it didn't know what it was. The whole mermaid thing didn't make sense.
That's more of the problem.
Of it all. It's like, what was the point of the whole mermaid thing anyways then? The racing thing was a really boring plot line for me, I guess. Usually Pixar movies, even though they're not great, they're intriguing enough that like it keeps you interested in it. But this one I just felt bored,
I do think,
honestly.
okay, I do think it's paced, because I know I watch a lot of movies that are slower paced and probably considered to be boring by people, but that doesn't mean it's bad.
But
I think
like,
it's just not your type of film.
I don't get bored.
I think what you said though was right, where it's, even though it was slower, that doesn't mean it's a bad movie. I think it didn't know where it was going. I think that was the real problem, is they didn't really have like a collective story that they were trying to tell. And even the relationship, okay, wait, I'm gonna be nitpicky for a second. So you know when you have a character with an eye, so like especially in these type of films where it's more animated, so like if this is the eyeball, here's their eyelid, there's their eyebrow.
I actually did like a lot of the scenery in it though. I thought most of the stuff was cool, but I know the eyeball thing really bothered you.
So normally whenever there's a light source in an eye, you get a highlight. It's like this big white dot. Now with a lot of animation movies, that white dot usually corresponds to wherever the key light is in the shot. If you rewatch Luca, you will see that white dot is on it the entire time. They could be underwater, they could be looking down. It makes zero sense. And for me, for someone that really appreciates Pixar for their technical aspects, I watched Toy Story 4, and even though I didn't really enjoy the storyline, it was gorgeous. And some of the technical aspects are so well done, with their lighting and like really fixating on the details everywhere, where like it would be like scraped paint on the surface of one of the carnival rides, like really, really, really good attention to detail. And this movie just felt very lazy. There were so many things like this where I kept getting caught off guard with that's not right. That's not technically how it should look. And it wasn't a style choice either. It was just that white dot, that highlight on the eye was just painted on.
Didn't they do a different art style with this though? Because even the characters don't look like normal Pixar.
It doesn't matter. The proportions can be slightly different. I mean, look at Toy Story. The humans don't look like humans, but they lit it so well. If you rewatch Toy Story 4, look at the highlight on their eyeballs. It will move depending on where the light source is in accordance to their eyeball. It kind of goes along with, I think, even in art world and even with films and animation, I think things are just getting lazier, where people are just accepting that. But I don't expect that from Pixar. I expect more from Pixar. So I think I'm a little harsher because I think they gave us some of the best animated movies. I think Up and WALL-E and definitely a lot of parts of Soul I thought were excellent, and their attention to detail in like the last 4 movies that they made I thought were excellent. But yeah, Luca felt very miss for me.
All right, the final 5 minutes. So I'm gonna kind of speed run through some comments to catch up, and then we'll.
Or are we really?
Last minute things, yeah. Fem says, I think it's always better to have fleshed out, complicated characters that just happen to be gay or black or female, whatever that happens. That just happens to be then that being the main trait. Yes, I speaking of the gay part especially too. It's like I think I prefer characters that feel real. And their staple isn't that they're gay. And that was kind of like the High School Musical, the series, whatever the thing is called, they're watching. There are these 2 gay characters on it that they kind of made that their, like, focal point. And you're like, okay, I want to get to know the character, honestly, even before I know they're gay. Like, I'd want to see their complicated, what's going on in their life, what are their thought processes, what do they want to do. Asa says, like Avatar: The Last Airbender live action, if you talk about an adaptation that makes you question your life. I've actually not seen that, thankfully.
I know. That one I would want to do a group watch with because it's so bad you can kind of make fun of it during it.
So it's more of just a fun...
Mm-hmm.
Fem says, I think it is only good to create a remake or sequel if you have a good story to tell instead of wanting to make money and grabbing some known characters or setting. That does feel like such a rip of like someone else's idea that you're just regurgitating.
Well, and you know what's interesting is like I can't even fully blame studio execs or producers because they want to make a return on their money, and there's so many people working at big studios where imagine a team of 400 working on a movie. Every one of those 400 people have a family most likely, or like bills that they need to be paid, and once one blockbuster ends, they have to go into production of another one because all those people still need to get paid. So I think they're just there's a term that's factory filming, where they're just filming it, but they're not having like one creative creator leading the team. It's more or less the producers just need to pay everyone that's working on at the studio, and that's where you get a lot of these reboots and remakes and remasters, and it's exhausting. And I think as a consumer, I always tell people, like, be careful with what you're filling your head with, because especially if you're an artist, I think that will bleed into your work, and you want to make sure that your work isn't feeling derivative or feeling unoriginal. And I think if we keep consuming media that is just, I don't want to say artificial completely, because there are still good parts in movies I would consider bad overall. But just movies that you can tell lack depth, like they lack kind of that soul that movies need to really push you. Oh gosh, Sean's trying to text me right now. That's something I would notice for watching movies. And even while you're picking a movie to watch, like even Space Jam 2, I probably shouldn't have watched it.
Yeah, I don't know what you were doing.
Well, I like the original. Things
I came downstairs and I was like, Tim, why do you do this to yourself?
Yeah, because I always have that little glimmer of hope, because there's that still kid in me that loves just movies, and I liked Space Jam when it came out. I was like 5 or something. I was really young. Or 6. I was young. But I remember the movie didn't take itself very seriously. And I think nowadays movies have to take themselves on a level of seriousness or politicalness or righteousness, where back then they were just kind of more having fun. And like the era of the 90s, especially in television, you can just see it, especially after watching that Nickelodeon documentary. They wanted creative content that was just fun, especially for kids watching it. Where now, I can't imagine a kid having fun watching Space Jam. I honestly could not. And I think a lot of the references, like the clown from It, or the Winter King from Game of Thrones.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, they're just like casually in the crowd. Or even the boys from Clockwork Orange. I don't know. It felt very, very pandering. It felt very much like an advertisement.
Oh, weird.
It was very weird.
Yeah, I'm happy I didn't watch it. Fem says, as a 3D and VFX artist, this is also shooting myself in the foot a bit, but yeah, nothing can beat physical sets and effects.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I think the VFX, though, I mean, they can still use physical sets, but also they can still utilize that as well. It's just when it's the entire set is just green screen, I think is where it becomes a little, like, off looking.
Well, I'm sure we kind of noticed too, and I'm sure a lot of you guys noticed too, where everything is just so heavily filtered now too. So not on top of everything being like green screened or not even practically there, there's in like heavy filters. Like we're watching the show White Lotus, and it's pretty interesting. Actually, I do like the premise of it being so quirky and weird, but there is this awful yellow filter that's over everything.
Oh yeah, that filter.
And I'm like, why? That doesn't enhance anything. It almost makes me feel less like this is a real set or like a believable resort that they're at, and more like a production that I'm watching. But anyways, oh yeah, it's 2:00. Wow. So yeah, so this was the Sunburst, and I pretty much did most of the detailing. I might do like little touch-ups here and there, but yeah, this was kind of where I wanted to be by the end of the stream. So I'm kind of glad we got here, and yeah, stay tuned for my Woodland Ute 6 reveal. It might happen before next Wednesday, maybe not. And then, do we have any other big thing? Oh, we have journals that came in, and they're going to be given away to our Patreon members for free. So if you're a gold Patreon member of mine, or if you'd like a free journal, you have to sign up for the gold tier by the end of this month. And I'll probably showcase them more this week, or yeah, maybe this week on my stories, or next week on the stream. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. Josh, any last words?
Just love you all. Our door's always open. No, it was a really fun stream today, actually. I feel like we talked about a lot of different things.
Yes, Justin, we are dating.
I kind of want to speed around just to make sure we get everyone.
A speed round, Drea. You know, I had the instinct to blow on my screen when I saw your eraser fall out. Yeah, I do that all the time. Sometimes I'll do that on my iPad unintentionally. I'm like, Tim, what are you doing? Shreya says, when are you releasing your next book? It was kickstarted in April. We're hopefully receiving the books in the next... I thought we would be receiving them this week.
We were supposed to get them like last week, we thought, and then this week, and then
hopefully soon, and then we'll put them on Etsy as soon as we get the shipping out for the Patreon, or for the Kickstarter backers. Fem says, yeah, I enjoyed Luca, but that was probably more because of the visuals, because I don't remember a lot of the story, but the 3D art style I love. Yeah, it wasn't for me, but I never try to shame someone for liking a movie I didn't like, unless if it's like a really close friend of mine and it's like a movie I really didn't like. Then we get into like debates about it, but I love movie debates.
I've learned dating Tim because he is critiquing a film. Sometimes I just have to shamelessly love films that he hates, even if he despises it.
No, I think you genuinely enjoy Hunger Games.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I shamelessly will say I love those movies. Same with Twilight. I actually kind of shamelessly I like those movies.
To each their own. And you can totally hate the Criterion Collection movies that I watch. It's equal.
It's beautiful.
Let's see here. Elena says, one of the reasons that I really liked 100 is that the main character is panned by and nobody ever even mentions that. She just is with both women and men. What is 100?
That's that one show.
I have actually never heard of it.
I've never watched it, but I know of it.
I'd have to watch the trailer. I feel like I've never even heard of that. Thumb says, I think you should never rely on visual effects. I always learn that the goal of them is that they are invisible. Yes. Which almost is contrary to what you said earlier, though, of you enjoyed Luca for the visuals, but not for the story, or you don't remember the story. I do feel like a lot of movies that are fun to watch are visually entertaining, like popcorn, but then once you're done with it, you're like, I don't know, maybe this is a whole other discussion topic we could get onto. But Fem, you are totally allowed to like Luca, and you can be proud of liking Luca.
I think Fem's saying more in terms of an actual live action thing, though, with VFX compared, because yeah, obviously animation's all going to be VFX. Anyways,
I think you should never rely on visual effects. Well, yeah. Okay. And lastly, Fem one more time says, or you could just go to the unlocked house doors and have yourself a trail.
They're always open.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay.
Right.
Well, take care, everyone. Hopefully, we'll see you next time. And yeah, that's all I got. Okay. Love you guys. Have a good rest of your day. Bye, 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 bye.